Can you guarantee no further cuts to the ABC and...
Well, there are no cuts.
No further cuts?
There are no further cuts because there are no cuts.
Now finally, this is the last time I get to present the 7:45 news.
And from me, it's farewell.
For one last time, I'm Philippa McDonald, ABC News.
There's an ongoing agenda here.
How toxic has the ABC been?
Not just to reduce the funding of the ABC.
The ABC should be shut down today.
But to reduce its effectiveness.
These people just don't want the ABC to exist, and they'll use any argument possible to make that case.
Privatise it, transfer it to the private sector.
The ABC is in crisis.
After successive budget reductions to the ABC.
It's at the bone. There's no more fat to cut.
400 staff have lost their jobs.
250 jobs will be
Everything the ABC broadcasts will be squeezed for cost savings.
This is a crisis not of the market, but of the government's own making.
We're just down to the bone.
ABC doesn't just report the news, it also saves lives.
There was the ABC and we thought we are safe.
I can't imagine my family without ABC exists. I can't imagine that.
If you just kind of keep chipping away at the ABC slowly, possibly, one day it's gone.
I'm a uni student. I'm an 84-year-old pensioner.
It is a vital lifeline. ABC plays a critical role.
Save the ABC from this disastrous move to destroy it. Over 2,700 stories in here. It's an attempt to influence the government ahead of the budget. Okay, I'm submitting it.
This is the ABC broadcasting through national, regional and shortwave stations.
It started as a radio service in 1932. And there was bipartisan support for this national network of 12 radio stations that went from Rockhampton in the north round to the west.
Australia's a big place with 9 million people. And the ABC, you have to keep them in mind.
The experience of the Second World War was that Australians began to rely more and more heavily on radio broadcasts and on the ABC. And governments of the time moved towards strengthening the ABC, putting more money into it, and removing the constraints on the news that it could broadcast.
1956, the decision was made to bring television to Australia.
This emblem that you've just seen is tonight the symbol of a historic occasion.
The newspaper proprietors, people like Sir Keith Murdoch, for example, were very opposed to the ABC having its own news and current affairs service.
There was quite a lot of opposition and pressure on government to limit funding for the ABC and limit what the ABC can do. The most prominent campaigner against the ABC arguably is the IPA, which is right-wing think tank set up in the mid-1940s. They campaign on issues like small government.
What would the public sector look like if the IPA had its own way?
It would be much smaller.
Ending red tape.
Red tape is a really significant problem in Australia.
They think coal is hard done by.
Well, the only reason we don't have coal plants being built is because 10 years worth of climate rubbish.
And they've waged a campaign. We should sell off the ABC.
And I think the case for privatising the ABC is getting stronger every year and will continue to.
We know that big coal is in there, a major supporter, big oil, big tobacco, and also many, many Conservative politicians.
Parliamentary colleagues, there are many of them here.
That is a major worry in terms of the policies that the IPA are advocating.
There's no need for the ABC to be publicly funded to privatise it and transfer it to the private sector.
We're here to champion a vision that speaks to the future.
We know that Rupert Murdoch News Corporation has been a big supporter of the IPA. News Corp, it's a campaigning organisation. It campaigns for Trump in the United States. It's campaigned for Boris Johnson and David Cameron.
Companies like News Corp have an ideological agenda against the existence of the ABC and don't want to see a competitor doing good journalism in a space that they want to operate in.
How toxic has the ABC been? It's a menace to our democracy.
Murdoch's campaign against the ABC is just extraordinary. I mean, there's the hyperbole.
You couldn't have got a better demonstration of the leftist groupthink.
Relentlessly left-wing.
It's overboard.
The Murdoch media, they don't believe that public broadcasting should exist on the scale and in the way it does.
Is a pattern of the way that this company operates in Australia and around the world, where it eats up smaller competitors and it uses its political power to destroy its enemies. And in Australia, that's the ABC.
I think that has had a very big influence on various political figures in government and sometimes in the crossbenches.
There's an extraordinarily close relationship between senior figures in the government and News Corporation.
The ABC instinctively takes everyone's side but Australia's.
The worst case scenario here is the one they are currently on the path to getting. And it's News Corp and the hard right wing of the Liberal Party working together to both broaden the reach of News Corp and at the same time rip apart the one bulwark we have against that media concentration.
We announced a 1% reduction in funding to the ABC and SBS
by $83.7 million over the next 3 years.
By 2024, the ABC will have lost $1 billion from its budget.
It's been happening slowly, but it's been happening steadily over the past few decades, and we're marching towards it.
Welcome to my desk. My desk! There's a lot of ABC stuff on my desk. This yard sign, which was used during the Eden-Monaro by-election. ABC was obviously super critical in Eden-Monaro during the bushfires last summer. We've got the bananas in pyjamas costume. There's always somebody in the office who's co-opted to wear it. So today we're going down to the far south coast of New South Wales and we're going to meet some members, some GetUp members who really care about the ABC and they're going to tell us why. Elbow bumps.
Well, if we must do elbow bumps. We were woken shortly before 5 on the day of the fire and the heat was incredible.
Got into the car, drove to Dalmini. The sky gradually got darker and darker.
No phone, no power, internet, no. And then we remembered the battery radio, Vera's trusty radio, and we switched it on and there was the ABC and we thought we are safe.
The ABC, it's really critical. You can crawl through a fence line, can't you?
I think we can do that.
For us to be able to decide what we need to do with animals, feedstock, supplies. Out here farming, it's tough. The ABC certainly helps alleviate the spirit. So yes, ABC radio for me is an essential.
That was Celia Cruz with La Vida es un Carnaval, was the final song selection of our Ladies Lounge guest.
My name is Alice Ansara and I live in Maria in town. I'm a townie. And I also volunteer in community radio.
The good folk of the Eurobadella definitely are in need of rest after the summer that we had.
I woke up that morning of New Year's Eve and these hot winds were just ferociously whipping around us. Like, it was so hot, so dry. You have to remember that we'd been in drought. The garden out here that you see was just brown. Nothing was flowering. So these winds come up with the heat and I thought, this is going to be really, really bad. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I could not have known. I had no understanding of what was about to happen.
Putting stuff into the car and just ready to leave if we have to.
The Currowan fire, which was in the north, that had been growing exponentially every day. I've got friends who are in the RFS up there who I was speaking with them and I was personally feeling very concerned. What I did do was texted a couple of friends who lived out in the bush, in bushier areas around here and said, you know, if you're feeling unsafe or you just want to hang out with us for the day, just come by. And I had gone out, I think, to fill up the car with petrol, and I came home and there were just people, dogs, children, just who I didn't know, just filling up the house. And we all just kind of stayed here on guard for the next few days. Once we lost power and reception, all we had was the ABC radio. So it was this lifeline that we were clinging onto.
Coastal areas east of the Princes Highway from David's Bay to Brownlee.
And then all of a sudden, the radio just went. It was just static. And I remember going over to the radio and just like desperately trying to pick up the station. And we didn't know at the time that the transmitter had burned and it was gone. So for us at the local community radio, our transmission just went out and we couldn't transmit to our listeners. And that same fire burnt the ABC transmitter for our area. You know, there's someone I know that describes it like being on a little boat in the middle of the ocean, blind with one anchor rope. The anchor rope slipped away. It's just so clear that the ABC is such a trusted and necessary resource for regional communities, for any community in a crisis or disaster situation. I think, yeah, it's really disappointing that the fight for the ABC has become politicised.
Yeah, ABC played a major role in my family.
The ABC was like my second school.
I believe that this is something that all Australian family needed.
It makes me feel happy and proud of myself.
I can't imagine my family without ABC exist. I can't imagine that now.
We use the ABC
like cuppa, shall we?
As entertainment, but more than that probably as information.
Good job.
Yeah, the ABC tells the stories of everyday Australians and the diversity of Australians, and that's really important to me. You know, I'm a migrant myself. I have a son with a disability.
Is it too hot?
Seeing all of that reflected back to us, I think is really important. It strengthens who we are as a people.
Ah, good job. There you go.
ABC Life was set up by the ABC to provide a platform that would reach out to people in the community that traditionally hadn't really connected with the ABC before. So people from migrant backgrounds, from culturally diverse backgrounds, young parents.
Usually the end of the conversation there.
A young, recently arrived migrant couple who live in Parramatta, pay taxes and fund a broadcaster. Like, they deserve the ABC and storytelling from the ABC as much as an elderly white couple living in Balmain or Mossman. It should be there for all Australians. And that's what ABC Life was trying to do, was a part of that, was a part of the ABC fulfilling its charter to service the entire community. Whenever the ABC tries to do something new, right, whether it's when it first set up its websites, when it first introduced broadcast on television, it was attacked by elements of the press, particularly places like News Corp, who saw what the ABC was doing as a threat to them. And when we launched ABC Life, the same pattern happened.
Let's have a look at ABC Life.
The complete waste of money, stupid stories directly competing against private media outlets.
Before ABC Life had even been launched, Andrew Bolt wrote a story where he called me a green Muslim leftist who was hired by the ABC to talk about pickles. I was talking publicly about the fact that the ABC Life team was really diverse. They said that was basically a huge waste of taxpayer dollars. We were talking about relationships, issues around women's health. They said that was outside of the charter of the ABC. ABC Life also told a story about, how do we reconcile the fact that as young people, we didn't always necessarily know how to call out blatant sexism, racism, or homophobia. It's not really clear why Chris Kenny's so mad about wanting to call those things out.
ABC Life, it seems to be in the frame as a place the ABC could save some money.
You know, you would have some days where there'd be a front page story in The Australian saying that ABC Life was wasting money. And then in Senate estimates that day, politicians would be asking questions about how much money was being spent.
How much does the ABC spend each year on the ABC Life website?
It really felt like this huge assault from some of the most powerful people in the country.
The successful website ABC Life, a regular target for ABC critics, is another casualty. Dumped and rebranded as ABC Local, with the loss of 9 journalists who helped bring a new, younger audience to the ABC.
The targets that had been set for ABC Life in terms of the amount of people it needed to reach, the views on the website, the views on the videos, you know, they were killing it. It was double the KPIs that had been set. And the reward for that was it being shut down. It sort of says that News Corp, Rupert Murdoch and conservative politicians can get their way if they're loud enough. Every cut to the ABC forces the ABC to pull back on its journalism, to pull back on its storytelling. And when we lose bits of that, I think that's just bad for the country.
ABC's Triple J helped launch my career in a fairly significant way. Play a little piano. You don't have a connection from the music industry, then it's just incredibly difficult to get into or even know where it exists. And I think for a lot of people who are disconnected in this way from the industry, they just like can't get into it without a service like Triple J.
The ABC went out on a limb. They took a risk on me as a first-time director. Now more than ever, we need impartial, objective storytelling in Australian culture. Without supporting creative and artistic practitioners, we just don't have a way of getting those stories out there to a national audience. That's why I really feel that ABC is crucial in this time.
Oh, there's a good one. Maybe that's a better one. So it's the week before budget and thousands of our members have chipped in to basically do this massive advertising blitz. We've just got the Sydney Morning Herald here. So we've got 4 members in here. Next week we've got billboards going around Scott Morrison's electorate and Paul Fletcher's electorate. It doesn't look like much, but this is outside Scott Morrison's electorate office. Billboard going around Queensland, thousands of posters in those electorates. Actually, someone just sent me through. So this is a petition with everybody's names who signed the petition in the electorate of Page. And Scott Morrison and his colleagues arrive in Canberra next week ahead of the budget on Tuesday night. He's kind of going to be bombarded by everyday people, GetUp members and their stories, people like Joanne here who will be on a billboard. Scott Morrison's going to have to look into their eyes when he makes decisions about the ABC's funding.
G'day, how are you? I'm Marcus Strom. I'm president of MIA Media, which is Australia's journalists' union. MIA doesn't just represent journalists, it represents actors, crew, musicians, all of Australia's creative art, meeting rooms, hands off the ABC. One of our largest, if not our largest workplace for members. We've seen about 200 redundancies this year at the ABC. And what you see there is a complete weakening of institutional knowledge. And to see that experience go out the newsroom is pretty disturbing.
How receptive has the federal government been to our efforts to secure the future of the ABC? They haven't been receptive at all. We've seen in real terms the funding of the ABC being essentially halved over a period of years. I think we're at a tipping point.
Most people understand privatisation of government services, the movement of services from the public sphere into the private sector, and it can happen in wholesale sales or it can be breaking them up and selling off bits. But privatisation by stealth is where you actually have this gradual, almost unobservable reduction in the ability of an organisation delivering a public service to deliver those services. This is how privatisation by stealth works. Each of these pieces represents a cut in funding to the ABC.
I've got here, because the list is so long, I can't memorise it all.
When you take out $9 million a year which was the first cut.
We've seen the axing of lifeline.
When you take out $254 million over 5 years,
Elements of catalyst have gone.
take out indexation at 14,
State-based 730 programs have disappeared.
and then 28,
Reduced programming on Classic FM.
and $40-odd million.
Radio national music programs have
When you
gone.
take out $20 million a year of a 10-year contract to deliver international broadcasting
The
services,
closure or downsizing of ABC Bureau in Tokyo, Bangkok, New Delhi, Africa and New
there are
Zealand.
more pieces
Cuts to language service.
coming out
Australian drama on ABC TV has fallen by 25%.
all the time,
Most of ABC production in Adelaide has been shut down.
and they're multiplying.
ABC shortwave service was terminated. 5 ABC local newsrooms were closed.
Their impact is multiple,
ABC Fact Check was axed. 745 News has been axed.
each year adding to the other.
Halving of the PM Radio Current Affairs program. Complete running down of some pretty core news services.
And the danger is, at some point, the whole thing is going to collapse. That is what forms the idea that over a period of time, by reducing the funding, reducing the effectiveness of the organisation, its capacity to deliver services, you can effectively achieve privatisation by stealth, and that the private sector can step in and take over the role of the ABC. The only problem with that, of course, is the diversity of our media that's suffering and is the rubble of the collapse.
So it's the morning after the budget. There's a couple of reports online this morning that suggest that ABC funding there's been a cut, but it's very confusing. I don't know. I think this is the point at which we call Michael.
Michael, I'm just looking at the budget papers themselves. These figures are actually really confusing.
I've had it confirmed that there are no new cuts, there are no new freezes, except, of course, there'll be a $14 million cut in the ABC's operational funding. Now, I think a number of people have kind of assumed that that's an extension of the current indexation
freeze, yeah, but it's not. It's just ending of that tied funding grant. So no new cut. No new cut.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Michael. I'll be in touch.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.
So Michael's just confirmed that there actually have been no new cuts levied against the ABC in this federal budget, which is a small sigh of relief after a year of an exceptionally hostile coalition government and Murdoch press and some rumours. But there's nothing to account for all of the past cuts that total something like over $700 million. So it's kind of devastating, but at the same time, you know, we've been working really hard this year. A lot of people have been working very hard this year to see no new cuts in the budget, so very small win.
There are fewer journalists than ever before. There are fewer outlets than ever before. So again, that's deliberate, you know, that's a deliberate result of decades of media concentration and underfunding of public sector journalism.
Most of us experience politics through media coverage. If journalism is in crisis, then our understanding of all of the critical issues that are occurring in the world is in crisis.
We're going to have bushfires again. We're going to have global catastrophes again. We're going to deal with huge world-bending, world-reshaping phenomena again. And if we continue to cut it, it might mean that the next time we deal with a huge crisis like this, whether it's a war or a climate catastrophe, we might not have the ABC.
You know, when I think about ABC, I think about safety.
I really don't know what I'd do without the ABC.
Sport on the radio, music on the radio. I took the ABC for granted, it was there.
I would fight for the ABC now.
There's no doubt this campaign is going to have to continue for many years to come. The ABC's up against some pretty powerful enemies.
The ABC funding ought not to be cut and in fact should be put back.
But at the end of the day, this is in our hands as a movement, and so the fight continues. Thanks so much for watching our film. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments section below and we'll get back to you. If you want to learn more about the ABC campaign, you can check out the link just below. And please subscribe, because GetUp has more videos coming your way on a whole bunch of our issues and campaigns. Thanks so much for your support on this campaign and for watching the film.